In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Bob and Brad C2 massage gun. We're going to talk about our honest impressions of it, comparing it to some of the other devices we've had a lot of experience using in the past, and answer that all-important question: can it help you with your low back pain? Now let's get into today's video. We've got a lot to get through in this video, so if you're short of time, use the timestamps at the bottom of this video to skip ahead to the part that you're most interested in. Now let's get into a little bit of background on how we came to use these sorts of vibration guns in clinical practice. Over the years, we've had a lot of experience using massage guns in the clinical practice alongside some of the other technologies that we have used. And because of that, we've been exposed to all the different guns you've got. We started off using one of the Theraguns. We used this guy here from Hyperice. And just to give you perspective for later on, when we talk specifically about the C2 gun from Bob and Brad, the very first Theragun that we used was, I think, around about £400 or £500. We had this monstrosity here, which was, I think, the Raptor from Hyperice, which came in its own, I don't know, bomb-proof case or something, a big piece of heavy-duty kit. That's $3,000 or £3,000 at the time. They don't make those anymore. Then we'd gone and used the Hypervolt and then the Hypervolt Plus, $500 and £500, thereabouts at the time of purchasing them. And then more recently, we've been sent over this C2 gun from Bob and Brad. And in terms of a device that is quality and affordable, this thing comes in at under £100. It's £82 or £85 approximately, and you can get them on Amazon. And I think the first impressions of using this, we'll get into this a little bit more in terms of the good and the bad, was the quality of this thing is actually remarkably good. I would say it's probably more sturdy feeling than the Hypervolt Plus. And when you're thinking it's 1/5 of the price, that's quite a big difference. I think these have come down in price nowadays, but that was really, really interesting because from our point of view, we have a lot of our members that are asking us, hey, I want to get one of these vibration guns. You guys use them. You talk about the benefits of them. Can I get something that's kind of affordable? And sometimes some of those bigger devices are kind of, one, over the top for your personal needs, and two, they're just a little bit too expensive. So we'd had a lot of experience using these things over the years. You're talking about thousands of patient visits, using them in a very heavy industrialized manner, so to speak. They're getting a lot of usage. And so we've got a good bit of experience. And when it comes to looking at these sorts of devices, the big concern for me in recommending them to someone to spend money on them is that some of those cheaper variations that you see often are actually really poorly put together. And the nice thing about the C2 is that it's not like that, but some of the other ones do feel like they're kind of gonna, you turn them on, they're gonna start falling apart. You press into your body, they're gonna kind of die in terms of the battery's gonna really weaken the power. So that's really, really important when you're looking for one of these guns, especially if you're using it to help a serious problem. You're using this as an investment in your health, your well-being, as a means of providing almost treatment to yourself, akin to if you were going to see some sort of therapist. So for this video, the team at Bob and Brad actually reached out and sent us this gun to have a look at and said, hey, have a play around with this. Give us your thoughts on what you think of this device. And that's what this video is about. So before I get into the pros, the cons of this particular machine, we're going to just talk specifically about how you can use it and why you can use it to help your lower back pain. When we recommend massage guns like this to our members, to our YouTube following as well, there are really three purposes when we're thinking about back pain. Because our channel is focused around back pain, our members have back pain, maybe a little bit of neck pain as well. We're using this as a method to enhance the hard work we're doing in our rehabilitation, in our protocols, in our exercises, etc., in our stretches. So the first and foremost thing is when you have a lower back injury, you're going to have a degree of muscle spasm, particularly into the legs, in the hamstrings, the hip flexors, the glutes, the lower back musculature itself will often be either symptomatic, painful, sore, all of the above. And therefore using these sorts of massage guns can provide a mechanism for alleviating some of that pain locally. Also, if we have some burning pain, sometimes the sensory input of the sensation of vibration on an area that is painful is actually sufficient enough to kind of disrupt that pain pathway. So immediately it's just a sense of relief. Even if short term, it is a relief in of itself, aside from the next two bits, which I'll get into now. The secondary benefit is you're ultimately going to be doing some sort of resistance-based work, strengthening those muscles that I've just mentioned. And in order to do that effectively, you're going to be challenging those muscles, building up lactic acid, getting a little bit of muscle damage, etc. in that region. Having a massage gun that you can use either as a warm-up to activate those muscles, get circulation into those muscles before you start to work out, or quite equally afterwards to drain some of that those waste products. Perhaps if you've got a little bit of DOMS, work some of that stuff out of those muscles, maybe the day after, etc. It can really help. Ultimately, you're using it as a tool to enhance the adaptation process that is taking place in your own body and basically getting more out of your training. Just like elite athletes will have the capacity to have regular treatments on a weekly or daily basis as they're going through their training to keep their body in tip-top condition, you can get that same thing through using these sorts of vibration guns. The third and final mechanism is stretching. I noticed that I've put this after strengthening because we really do teach that strengthening is first and foremost when it comes to lower back pain and injuries and recovering from them. And then we have stretching, not stretching, is where we stretch the muscles and elongate those muscles. Excuse the muddle up there. When we're stretching, utilizing the vibration gun can actually help you get a little bit more mobility, a little bit more stretch out of those muscles. It's something that I found particularly helpful. It's something that you can too. And again, it's just another way we can use these tools to get even more value out of them and help another facet of our recovery process when it comes to low back pain. Now, I've spoken a lot about back pain specifically, but fundamentally, a lot of these things are going to be true of shoulder injuries, neck injuries, elbow injuries, knee injuries, etc. So you can kind of adapt those principles for your own personal needs and injuries. Now, we've got tons of other videos on the YouTube channel, hundreds of them, as well as many more inside the program. So if you're interested in more depth on that back pain specific side of things, then you can definitely check that stuff out as well. We will also be doing with this gun, because it's nice and lightweight, we're going to be doing a full routine for the lower body and possibly even some upper body stuff, which we'll be publishing on our YouTube channel too. So definitely make sure if you're not, subscribe to the channel to keep an eye out for when we release that video too. So now we get on to the impressions of the gun itself. Box. It's delivered in a lovely little carrier case, which is particularly handy if you're taking it all over the place, maybe you're taking it to the gym, etc. Inside the box, we have the gun. We've got various heads that fit in nicely. We have a USB-C, I think it is, charging cable. So just the same as we're using to charge the MacBook. It plugs in right down the bottom here into here, which is quite nice. That way you don't have a specific charger that you've lost and are trying to find where on earth it is while the thing's dead. You can just plug it into any number of the chargers that you've got. We've got some other information in there just on how to use the thing as well. You get a couple of different heads for different purposes. You've got the ball head, you've got the cushioned head, which is a little bit softer, the bullet as well. I personally like these two. So we've got the flat head here. It fits straight in the end, and then we can just turn it on using the button, hold it down. Took me a moment to figure that out. There we go. And then we've got the power. There are 5 LEDs on here, which give you different levels of power as you're going through these. Hopefully you guys can hear just how loud or rather quiet it actually is as you're using it. So you can have a full conversation as you're using this thing in the living room, etc. And I will say, as we've had our Hypervolts, etc. for a while, they're starting to get a little bit louder. They're not quite as soft as they used to be when we first got them. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes over time. You also do have this little rubber thing you can see here that allows it to cushion and sit onto here without rattling basically as the gun is going back and forth. You do get a separate one of those or a spare one of those inside the box as well, which is quite handy, and I don't think some of the other guns have ever had those. So that's really cool. And you can see it is a firm piece of kit. It is strong here. It's well built. It doesn't have a removable battery, but you're using this, I suspect, at home. You're not using it clinically where you need to be able to take the battery out and stick a new one in to carry on with the next patient. So from that point of view, it's really worthwhile not giving unnecessary flexibility and just focus on making the thing solid, because the more moving parts you have, the more chance there is that something's going to break and not work. So that's a really nice one. We've also got this little spinal head, which works really nicely. Plugging that one in, it's got a little notch, so don't forget this, otherwise you will actually ruin your device. There is a notch just down here. So when you put this head in, you want it to stay the right way. You don't want it to rotate round as you're using it. So when you do pop it in to there, we want to make sure that that point is aligned properly. That way it holds and doesn't rotate left and right. If you don't put it in properly, it's going to ruin the head, and that's not going to be very good for you. So make sure if you're going to use this head, it works lovely up and down the side of the spine. You do normally need someone else to do that for you. So some good negotiation will work on that part, but it can be really nice to work deeply into those paraspinal muscles. Of course, It is plastic, so it is going to be a little bit more firm. If you go wrong, you start hitting some bony prominences, etc., then that will be uncomfortable. So only use it on areas that you feel comfortable to do so. And if you're not sure about using it around the spine and other bony regions, you do want to just steer clear. Focus on the nice soft squidgy bits. The legs, we've got plenty of large muscle bellies that we can work on and be very effective in that area without the risk of coming across things other than sort of the kneecap, which, I mean, if you do this on the kneecap, it's kind of like your own fault, so don't do that, it's not clever. So just to recap some of the good points about the gun. First and foremost, it's got a good design. It's one machine, it's one piece of equipment. It's got some nice convenient LEDs on the front here that show you the power, as well as LEDs down the bottom here, which show you the amount of charge it's got. Because we don't have that removable battery, it is nice and solid. That means you don't need to worry about things falling apart, or sometimes even with the Hypervolt, which is significantly more expensive, you're gonna find that sometimes it feels a little bit unstable if you grab the top bit here, and at this junction it can just feel a little bit loose. It's also got that USB-C, I believe it is, charger down here, which is really, really convenient. And I will say that from a price point of view, being under £100, I would say is really quite good to see that the quality is there. These things naturally have come a long way since that one I showed you a little bit earlier on. We've got battery tech, all that other sort of stuff has really meant that you can produce these sorts of things if you want to, in a really, really good quality. It does make me interested to see what, because I know they've got some other guns in their lineup at higher price points, so I would be really interested to see how some of those stack up compared to this thing, because it's pretty difficult to make this thing better, I would say, especially at the price point it's at. In terms of bad points, we want to try and be as balanced as possible. And my only question or critique, which I can't really answer for you, is going to be something that's going to take time to discover, is would this hold up from a point of view of the life cycle? Using it heavily if you're a sports-based person or an athlete, using this thing on high power, full power for extended periods of times, day in, day out, how long will this thing last? But ultimately, if you are using it in that sort of manner, the build quality does make it feel as if it will last a good period of time, and probably long enough to make the economics of using this over some of the more expensive brands probably worthwhile. To wrap it up, I do think that the C2 gun from Bob and Brad is going to be a really good option for those of you that are looking for something to add to your repertoire, to your inventory, to your toolbox, to help you keep your body healthy and fit, especially when it comes to lower back injuries. It is going to be something that is on the affordable side of things from a price point, comparing this to other alternatives, and it's good build quality. Ultimately, how you use these things is the most important thing. So you've got to use it in a sensible manner to get the most out of it, but this is very lightweight. So whether you're going to use it on the lower body where we can get a bit more power behind it, or whether we're going to be using it on the neck, on the upper body, on the shoulders, on the arms, it's nice and light, so we can even get to some of those harder to reach places too. For you guys watching, any of you that do want to get this C2 massage gun, the guys at Bob and Brad have given us a 10% discount code. There'll be a link in the description. If you do use the link of ours, it does help us support the channel, and you'll get it at the best price they have off the Amazon store. Ultimately, I do think it's been a really good device, so much so that those of you that are watching this right now as this is being filmed will be aware we are running our 12 days of Christmas giveaway, and the guys there have been nice enough to give us one device to add in as a last minute prize for our members. So really excited to be able to give those out. We don't give away things that are not good to our members as part of this Christmas giveaway. We only want to give you things that can really help you. This made the cut, so very big thank you to those guys too for making our 12 days of Christmas giveaway even more. There's going to be a link down in here for those of you that are watching this live and can check it out right now. As always, thank you for watching. If you did make it this far and found this video helpful, consider giving us a thumbs up. If you want to stay tuned for when we release those additional videos, those follow-alongs, make sure to subscribe to the channel with that notification bell turned on. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.